Okay. It shows up over here. Yes, it is. Okay. So we'll put this in. And so anyhow, I wanted to talk about this right here. If it'll let me put it in it, okay. There it is. Out of here. You're gonna piss me off there in a second. Okay, it's not wanting to go in there. But anyhow, I guess since it's not wanting to go in there, I'll put this in there later. I don't know how many understand or know what this is going to be something I've never talked about before, but I think it's something that should probably be talked about. Okay, we know we live in an oversexualized society. Okay, we know that there's porn everywhere for free. We know that there's lots and lots and lots of men hooked up in porn. And we know that anybody that's ever looked at porn, they see crazy stuff like BSD, bondage. Okay, they see really crazy stuff out there. They see, but the reality is our society, there are actually roles that people have, and it comes through your hormones, your attractions, and for on an individual basis, whether if you're man or woman, you find yourself, you know, and I've never talked about this before, especially on video, okay, or even anywhere, okay, but I have talked about it with personal friends, and the person that introduced me to this years ago, who was like a brother to me, and I did get to interact in these communities and see and live. I even lived it for a while when I was younger, after I wasn't TFL, okay, and so I know this is quite real. This exists. Okay, and it actually makes a lot of sense. But our society has manipulated everything, flipped everything upside down, and this is still all something that's on an individual basis, okay? And by no means am I encouraging anybody to go do the shit that I'm about to talk about, okay? By no means, okay? This has to be a choice made by an individual person. It can lead to lots of situations with jealousy and drama and fighting. So there's bad sides of it, how anything else in life has its ups and has its downs. But I'm sure you've all heard of alternative communities, alternative lifestyles. Okay. And this is what was explained to me years ago about a group of people. And when I think about this and I rethink about this, I think it's more reality than it is anything else. So I'm going to try to give you the education I received, and you can do what you want with it. Okay. But I've seen it. I know that it's actually out there and it's real. See, when we grow up, as we get older and we hit puberty and we start getting into sex and you're starting chasing your girls, and women and men alike, doesn't matter. We're not going to go into the TFL or the MGTOW topic with this subject. I'm going to give you something I learned years ago. Some of you may know about it. A lot of you probably won't know about it. A lot of you'll think it's just fantasy and stuff like that, but you know, when your hormones kick in and you start looking as you get a little older, you start having fantasies, and everybody, whether you want to admit it or not, doesn't matter if you're a man or woman, has certain things that are sexual fantasies. Doesn't mean you make it a reality. Okay. And certain things that turns you on more than other people, more than something else about sex itself, turns somebody else on. Okay. And this is just common. It's nature. It's normal. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay. Now you're going to say, where the hell am I going with this? In society, there's actually really, and you got to really think about your own self in order to figure out what you are. And I'm going to say, when I say what you are, I'm not talking about your gender. I'm not talking about anything like that. I'm talking about the reality. The reality is we have dominant people, we have submissive people, and we have switches. Now, I'm sure when I said switches, you're going, what the hell are you talking about, right? Okay, but hear me out, then you understand. The common relationship that our world runs on, okay, that you recognize that you try to get a woman in your life, even when in doubt, who is in here. This common relationship also applies to him. He wants the girl to submit. Okay, he wants to be the dom. Now, with that being said, I'm going to tell you something, okay? This is going to blow you away, but this is so true. I know this because there's actually communities of people living this, but by no means am I telling you to go live it, okay? But this stuff is real, okay? And there's a lot more people living it than you even know there is because they don't advertise it. Because the common relationship that all boys and girls and men and women grow up learning and knowing is a switch a switch relationship. You say, what do you mean switch? Well, remember I told you this is only about the bedroom scene, sex. Okay? Well, switch is the couple that the man's normally on top. You know, the gay people like to say, who's the bottom and who's the top? Okay? You all know what dominant means, somebody who's in control, somebody who's controlling or in control. We all know what submissive means, somebody who renders control over to their opposite. Okay? And so when in doubt was talking about the women need to learn to submit, okay? And he's the man, and that's the role, okay? Then you say, what's a switch? Well, switch is the common relationship. If society don't tell you this, you're not educated to this, and it's not talked about. A switch is the common relationship, and in a common relationship between a man and a woman, you might have a sexual fantasy, or she'll have a sexual fantasy, and two people leave each other, or you're in the bedroom, you play that role out. Okay? And one time she might want to be on top of you. She might want to be riding you as riding the horsey, you know, riding the bull, riding that stallion, okay? She might want to be in control, and on that particular day, she's in control. Maybe she ties you to a bed. You've seen this in movies. She had you all tied up, right? And she was riding you. And then there's the dominant person who there ain't no way in hell they'll ever let anybody tie them up. That ain't happening. They're going to be on top. They are in control. Okay, and this is what they want. And then there's the submissive people who don't want to be on top, who sexually is actually more aroused and turned on to being submissive. And this is what they want. They like the bottom role. They like to be told what to do. Now, I know this sounds completely insane, but this is absolutely real. And to figure out what you are in life, when you're young and you're growing up, most people don't know about this, and most people that do learn about this don't learn about it until later in life. Believe me, that was me. Okay. Learned about it later in life. Had to do a lot of thinking. And then it dawned on me, man, it was real. And then after I seen the communities and seeing it with my own eyes, I realized how real it was. I also got to see the friction it caused, got to see the jealousy, the feelings, the emotions, and everything that can go into this. So by no means will I ever tell anybody to live it. But the reality is, in our society, we live, the majority of all relationships in society are based on switch, and society don't tell you that. Okay? Dominant and submissive. So you got, this is how it sort of works. In an alternative lifestyle, switches hook up with switches, which is what the common relationship is between men and women everywhere. Okay? And dominants hook up with submissives because dominants don't want to be controlled and submissives do. Now, this is not a gender issue. Never has been and never will be. If you was looking at porn, you think it's just all fantasy role playing. But when you get to BDS, the bondage, when you get the sex slave, the female, or the sex slave, the male, and you think it's all role play, more times than you would even believe, it's actually not role play. These people, well, it is and it isn't. Because there's whole communities and pockets of people that live the role of what they are. If you understand what I'm saying, they live the role to what they are. Okay, but it's all sexual based. Remember, I told you they've oversexualized our society. How many people have heard of dungeons? They really exist. And you can rent a dungeon and you can go into this dungeon and they have all kinds of crazy contraptions where you can tie somebody up in many different positions for sex. It's completely like outrageously nuts. I'm telling you it is. Okay, it's no different than one of your alternative lifestyles or swingers. You know, when I was up in Bradenton, Florida, and I was single after I broke up with my son's mother, we were no longer together. And I am the one that left her, by the way, just so you know that. Okay. She didn't leave me, I left her. But they had this in Bradenton, Florida, the major newspaper, and they had it advertised. Bradenton Singles. Okay. So they have singles, and I think, okay, this is where I want to go to, even though my chances are like 1 in 5 million that any woman's ever going to freaking give me the time of day. I'll go there. So I went there the one night when it was on, I think it was on a Tuesday. They had it 2 days a week. This has been some time back. I went there, and what I discovered was it wasn't a singles event at all, man. These wasn't singles. These were swingers. They were all going there, but they wasn't allowed. The newspaper would not let them put swingers club, swingers, anything in it. Nope, wasn't allowed to do it. If they wanted to advertise, they had to advertise under singles. So single men and single women would show up, and these swingers were couples that were already together, and they were looking to pick up a third person to take home for sex that night. No lie. Factual truth. Okay. Blew me away. That's, says, why did you advertise what you are? And he says, well, we can't. And they told me why. And I was like, oh, it makes sense. It makes sense. It's our fucked up society, but it would have been so much easier because a single person, especially, see, the guys really got the shaft on this because you had a male and female couple that were swingers and they were always looking for another female to take home for the bedroom. So the females that showed up into the singles club thing they had going on, some of them females would wind up going home with a couple. But the males, they walked out the door empty-handed every last time. Go figure, huh? So, but it sort of pissed me off because This is the reality. And so, in real life, in real time, to understand dominant, submissive, and switch, the common relationship that men and women get into that we all know about and grew up with, the name of that is switch. If you don't believe me on what I'm telling you, go do your homework and you'll find out I just told you the God's honest truth. Okay? You actually have dungeons that you can rent. You have whole communities of people who live what they are. But remember, it's all sex related, okay? Then they determine who they are and what they are by their fantasies and what turns them on the most in the bedroom. And the submissive role that we put on the women, and we scream and cut a man down for being submissive, is not a choice. It is something in your hormones as you grow up and you get older and you develop. You know in your own mind what turns you on the most, and you know what maybe fantasies you've had. And this is how you're going to be able to figure out whether you're a switch, whether you're a sub, or whether you're a dom. And if you're a dominant person and you're a woman, they're called a mistress. This is why you see in the porns, mistress. See how they have flipped everything upside down on his head? I do not think a lot of people know about this, okay? I'm telling you, I knew nothing about it until I was, 41 years old. I mean, seriously. And then I lived it for a while. And it is some of what led to the downfall between me and my ex. It's not the whole reason. Because she wanted to live it, okay? Really bad. She wanted to, blah, blah, blah. And it actually did more damage than it did good. So I don't advise anybody to live it. If you do live it, these communities, these people most of the time don't even get married, or they'll be together and they'll live the roles they're living. And you really have to have an open mind, and you really have to be able to control your emotions, and you can't let yourself get too close to somebody because of jealousy. But the reality is you have a whole bunch of submissive women and a whole bunch of submissive men. You have dominant women and dominant men. And then you have switches. And you can only identify yourself by really examining yourself to see what you really are. Because this is going to come with your development of your hormones and your sex drive and your fantasies, and whether you prefer to be on top or whether you like to switch around. One time you're on top, the next time she's on top. There's, you know what I'm saying? Or if you only want to be on top, or if she wants to be on top all the time and does not like the bottom and likes to be in control in the bedroom. This is where you see the term in porn, a sex slave. Okay, and you say that's completely nuts. But see, the definition of sex slave is somebody who's a true submissive. A true submissive is somebody whose hormones and sexual reality, they're totally turned on by being on the bottom and like being dominated. And that's the role they want all the time. Okay? Whether if it's man or a woman, this happens. And these are the people who will submit over to the other person and live that role. And they actually live that role privately. They even have contracts, believe it or not. I don't know how legal they would ever hold up in our justice system. But they even have contracts, and they will live these lifestyles with each other. So I wanted to bring this up. I've been holding this back for a long time, thinking, should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? Because I found it out the hard way, and I actually got to see it with my own eyes and witness and met people. So don't think that when you're looking at porn, if you're looking at mistress woman and a submissive man, that's necessarily just two people role playing in the porn, because a lot of your alternative communities is where some of this porn comes from. Okay, and so it's one of them things. Okay, I know that for me, I don't like advertising this, and no, I'm not going to answer your question. Okay, uh, to what I am, because I think this is pretty personal, and I think you need to keep this to yourself. And if you're going to live this lifestyle, then you really need to look up dungeons and stuff and go to one of these places or swingers clubs or your alternative lifestyles. And once you meet some people that are in it, they will introduce you to other people that are in it. And pretty soon you'll find yourself seeing the community. Okay. And once you see that community, then you'll actually understand and you'll get to see it with your own eyes and you'll go, oh my God. Okay. And it'll blow you away because it blew my socks off. I'll tell you that right now. But when I really seriously think about it and I think about what society's done to all of us, and I hear all these men about the women needs to submit and the women needs to submit, and even like when in doubt, and I can understand where he got that from. And I know why he said that, because I understand it, because that is what we've been brought up to believe. But the reality is all human beings, they're sexuals, they develop their sexual urges and go through life. They're going to be one or the other. They're going to be dominant, or they're going to be submissive, or they're going to be switch. And the common relationship that they've used in society that we all know is the switch relationship. This is what everybody knows, okay? What most people, well, not most people, but a whole lot of people, maybe it is most people, don't realize is that these alternative communities, a couple of them are so legit. They're so legit about what they're saying. And they are right. When you really think about it, they are actually correct. Because you don't ask to look at somebody and undress them with their eyes when you first hit puberty. It just happens. When you have fantasies, which everybody has, men and women alike, that are sexual related, remember this is only about sex, the ones that turn you on the most to keep replaying in your head, whether you're male or female, this is how you'll be able to identify what you are. This is how I was told it from the very beginning when I was educated to this. And then after seeing it in real life and living it with my ex for a while, I realized how real it is for these people. And these people live these roles, okay? And they're happy overall. But it's like anything else. Sometimes you get too close to somebody when you're with somebody else, and you shouldn't get that close to that person. And jealousy arrives, feelings arrives, and you know what I'm talking about. So it's like I said, it's like anything else, man. It has its ups and it has its downs. But it is for real, man. And I was looking today before I done this, and I found this thing online, and I was laughing at it. Okay, they have a book that they've wrote, so I gave it the name of what I'm giving this live stream: Dominant and Submissive Relationships, Rewriting the Roles, or Rewriting the Rules. Okay, and they're not really rewriting the rules. They never have been rewriting the rules. Okay, it's just knowledge that's not taught in your education system nowhere. It's not taught in your colleges, and it's been hidden from people. That's all this is knowledge. It's always been hidden from people. And because it's been hidden, the only thing you really know is switch. The switch lifestyle is what we all really know. And I'm not telling you, I can tell you this: you can examine yourself and figure out what you are. And like when in doubt, he wants the woman to submit. There's a good chance he's probably maybe a dom. But I'm not going to tell him what he is. He has to figure that out for himself. Okay? And if he is, then his appropriate mate would be a submissive. Okay? If he's a submissive, his appropriate mate, of course, would be a dom. And if he's a switch, well, we're right back where we've always been, right? But I've never talked about this on a live stream, on a video, or anything before. I've thought about it many, many, many times. And I thought, no, I don't know that people are ready to hear this. And I don't push sex because to me it's like, but I understand we all want sex. I understand that sex has been used as a weapon to destroy our society. But I also understand when I hear somebody telling me so women need to submit from seeing what I've seen with my own eyes. Not really. If they're living the role they're living, not really, because there's a lot of women who are dominant. And they're dominant by their sexual desires. And these are women who are dominant that want the guy to be in the submissive role. And there's lots of guys who are submissive who want that dominant woman. Okay, but now if you're both switches, by golly, go for it. Live your normal lifestyle that we've all lived for years anyhow, right? Right. Well, yeah, I'm not going to disagree that this would add to the downfall of society, but then you really want to think it, does it? How many of you people actually knew about this, and how many of you people actually live it? Ask yourself that question, and our society's already destroyed without even knowing about it. Look at the switch relationship that we grew up on. Look at what's happening. Look how women are treating men. Look how many men can't get a woman in their life. Look how many breakups there are. Look at how the fucking family court system, you know the spill already. And that's not even talking about this lifestyle. So when I say that this lifestyle is going to lead to the downfall of our society, well, I think you're too late for that. You didn't need this. You didn't need the alternative society to destroy your society because you've done it successfully without knowing about it. That's what I'm going to tell you about that. You've already done it very successfully without knowing a damn thing about it. And would it make it worse? No, it won't, because I'm not encouraging you to do it. And for the communities who do it, they do it on an individual basis, and they're living the role they want to live. And if these people are happy living the role they want to live, who are you to tell them what they can and can't do? As long as they're not going out hurting other people or trying to force people to live the way they live, they're doing no harm unto you or anybody else. It's not an accident that you can go into a bigger city. Tampa had a dungeon. Chicago, Illinois has a dungeon. Miami has a dungeon. But unless you live in these lifestyles in these communities, you know nothing about it. So, I'm not going to say, I'm just saying I choose, you pick what you want to live. But I don't think it's a good thing myself because I say this. If you want to raise a family, then you don't belong in this lifestyle because you don't want your children around this crap, right? Maybe if you've already raised your kids, and you choose to go that way, but that's got to be on an individual basis level. I wouldn't agree with a couple living the alternative lifestyle and having children. No way would I agree with that. Okay, I'm only telling you I know about this lifestyle. I've witnessed and seen it. You can look it up. You'll find out I'm not lying to you. And that's all I'm telling you. I'm not telling you to live it by no means. I don't even encourage you to do it. But I'm not your boss, But when I see people calling people telling me, or our society yelling women need to be submissive again, I don't think anybody should be submissive because I said something to When in Doubt the other day. If you want a successful relationship in the common world and not live one of these alternative lifestyles, which I wouldn't recommend you do, but if you want successful relationship between a man and a woman, the man and woman first have to become friends. Sex is at the last of the list, not the front of the list. They first have to become friends, and the friend zone don't exist, because that is the foundation relationships built on. And then if you can become friends, it don't guarantee you'll fall in love. But if you become friends with a woman and she becomes your friend, then you become best friends, you might find true love, because that's where true love comes from. And if you find best friends with the woman and you fall in love with each other, the only successful way to keep that relationship is you can't tell her she's submissive, and she can't tell you. You don't wear the pants in the house, and neither does she. It's called learning how to compromise. That's right. It's called learn how to compromise. One time when you want your way and she don't agree and she wants her way, you let her have her way that time, but the next time there's a disagreement, she has to fold and let you have your way. It's called compromise. It's called understand each other's feelings, respect each other's feelings, and don't try to change somebody else's feelings. It's called open communication. Have trust for each other, understand each other's feelings, respect each other's feelings, become best friends, more than just best friends, and compromise. It's not about who wears the pants in the house. When you say who wears the pants in the house, you're calling the other person a slave. That has nothing to do with the alternative lifestyle. Okay? Nothing to do with it. If you choose the alternative lifestyle, you choose it for yourself and nobody else. If she chooses it, she chooses it for herself and nobody else. If you have kids, you don't belong in an alternative lifestyle. Period. End of story. Well, it's not about letting a small truth support a big lie. It's nothing about that. It's about a community of people that are out here globally. There's pockets of them all over the world living these lifestyles, whether you know it or not. And it's not about attacking them and telling them they can't, because now you put yourself in the dictator role. I'm not going to tell them they can't, but I would say I would tell them you can if you got kids, because that's just right out wrong. If you're raising children, you need to stay the hell away from them communities. You don't live that kind of role in your house in front of your children. That'd be right out evil and wrong. Okay? So I wouldn't agree with that at all. But as far as the communities, they do exist. As far as what a dominant person is and what a submissive person is and what a switch is, that's real. And the common relationship that we all grew up on is a switch relationship. The best way you could ever have a successful relationship is to become best friends. Become more than best friends. Let real love happen naturally. Understand each other, respect each other's feelings. It's not about trying to change somebody. You have to like somebody for who they are, and you can't become best friends if you don't like them for who they are. But today's society is so messed up. Women are used in the friend zone to reject you, which is the foundation of a relationship. So, that's just where that comes from. Yes, that's correct. Women and men are both capable of real love, but real love comes from knowing each other, becoming friends, having things in common, and doing things together. Real love is not sex. Never has been and never will be. Well, you have a right to your own opinion that lifestyle was wrong and not right. I'm not taking your opinion away from you. But for the communities of people that are out there living it, they won't agree with you. And because they don't agree with you doesn't mean you're right nor they're right. If you want to say they're going to destroy our society, too late. They didn't have to be here to destroy our society. It's already screwed. And I'm not lying to you on that. It's already messed over. What, are they going to destroy what's already destroyed? I don't think so. Okay, there's your answer to that. Okay, if that's what these people choose to live in, there are these communities. There's a whole lot more of them than you think there are. There's pockets of community like this all over the world. It's not just here in the U.S. But most people don't know about it because you're not taught about it. You're not educated about it. That's the only reason I brought it up. I fought myself for a long time. Should I tell you or shouldn't I? Should I tell you or shouldn't I? uh, and I decided, what the hell? I'll go ahead and tell you today, and I'm going to encourage you, if you want to know more about it, to look into it, but I'm not going to encourage you to go live it. Okay? I'm not going to tell anybody to go live this, okay? I think the common relationship, the switch relationship, is what we've all been bred on, and it's probably the best relationship there is. But then that's almost don't exist no more neither, do they? Because let's look at the reality. Women become so corrupt. What do they want? They want it all, right? That's a dominant trait. So what did that do for society? How many men can't even get a woman in their life based on social engineering? See, the alternative lifestyle didn't destroy our society. Our society is already destroyed. Most of you people in this chat probably didn't even know about them. I didn't know about them until I was freaking like 41 years old. No lie. I didn't even know about it until then. So how many of you people actually here even knew this existed? And that it's real. You can look this shit up and you'll see it is quite real. So, it's not that I'm trying to make controversy in this chat, because I'm not. I just educate you on something that's out there, that's been out there for a long time, and I have no idea how long it's been out there. That most people either never learn or they learn it at the older age of life. I don't mind if they learn it at an older age of life, because you got to figure the people who hook up at a young age and have kids, they definitely don't belong in a relationship like this. Not with children, you don't. And that's the way I feel about that. If you got children, you stay the hell out of that damn lifestyle. You don't belong in that lifestyle if you got children. And some people just are totally against that lifestyle. That's fine. I'm fine with that. I don't live that lifestyle myself. If you understand what I'm saying, I don't live it myself neither. And I can tell you this, it led to was one of the reasons my ex and I ended up breaking up, is because she wanted to go down that road. And at first I didn't, then I did, and then I didn't no more. But even when I didn't know more, she did. She never changed. And she went down that road until she destroyed herself. And then, of course, I left her, because, of course, you know what that led to, don't you? It led to more cheating. That's right. See, it didn't help anything. It hurt more than it helped. So, it's one of them things. But in reality, if you think about it, if you really think about it, we all grow up, we hit puberty, we look at our opposite gender. And as you get older, you start having fantasies, sexual fantasies, that don't make you nuts. It doesn't make her nuts. It doesn't make it wrong. Okay? And then sometimes you decide you and her are a couple and you're married or whatever, you might decide to want to live out some of them fantasies with each other. And I've known lots of couples who've done that. I don't see anything wrong with that, as long as it's behind closed doors and appropriate timing and, things like that. But some people take this and go further with it, okay? They actually want to live the role of what they are, of what they are. And that to me has to be done on a personal level, an individual level. And if you got kids, you definitely don't even belong going there. That's the way I feel. Okay? You don't even belong going there. If you ain't got kids and you go there, then you need to make that decision for yourself. And if you're with somebody and you got a wife or a girlfriend and she wants to, it don't mean you have to, but you may end up breaking up. And if he wants to and she don't, it's still the same thing. You may end up breaking up. And if you both want to go live that lifestyle and you both find yourself happy doing it, then more the merrier for you, I guess. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to come down and say how you are. I'm not going to be that way towards you. I just wanted to bring this out because I've never done it. I've hesitated for a long time, but I do want to bring it out because I see so many men saying we want the women to be submissive again. And I see so many people saying, who wears the pants in your house? Who wears the pants in your house? And we see women wanting to control the relationships, women wanting to control. And we see men simping themselves out to that, right? We all know we see this, right? And we know this is going on. But I never hear anybody talk about what they truly are. Because I don't think anybody should be submissive to somebody else. Unless they actually that's what they want to do. I don't agree that anybody should be submissive to somebody else. Okay, and I don't think we should ever have who wears the pants in the house. I think a proper relationship comes from being best friends. I think if you want a long-term relationship, somebody to grow old with and die with, your companion, your mate, then you need to become best friends. And then more than best friends. And then you need to freaking listen to her feelings and she needs to listen to your feelings. If she don't care about your feelings, then you don't care about hers and get rid of her. Because you have to care about each other's feelings and it's not about changing one another. And you have to respect each other's feelings. And there has to be compromise because them are the only ways you'll ever have a long-term committed relationship with anybody. And if you don't go with them rules, you can't do that. Don't plan on that relationship lasting. This is why I don't go along with the submissive role. You know what I'm saying? This is why I don't go along with the total dominant role either. Because nobody wants to feel they're lower than somebody else. It's no different than you're with a woman, okay? And you go to have fun, sex, since we're talking about sex, let's just go there, okay? Let's talk about something else that happens, okay? You're with the woman. You want to have fun, sex, right? Some people just do it the old-fashioned way. The guy's already erect. They boom, 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 done it. The intercourse is over. A lot of people like foreplay. So let's say they have foreplay before they actually have intercourse, okay? Then I tell you, you should clean up. Both genders get a shower before sex. Then they tell you, no, you get a shower after sex. And I say, no, you can get a shower before and after. And they say, well, why would we do it before? And I says, what, you want somebody to go down on you? Yeah. And I says, well, if you ain't taking a shower before, then there ain't nobody going there. Pissed them right off when I said that, but they thought about it a while and said, I never thought of it that way. Like, okay, who wants to put their face between the legs of somebody that's not clean? Raise your hand if you're in for sexual diseases. Okay, no. Now I'm talking about something you've never heard me talk about. Now I'm going to give you another example. You're with a female. You both like foreplay, or you think she does. She tells you she does, right? You get there. She wants you to go down on her, and she wants you to do this and this for her, but she don't want to do anything for you. Matter of fact, she don't even want to put her hand down there and touch you down there with her own hand. And if she does it 1001, 1002. She's done. Oh, don't forget it. You ain't getting no blowjob. She's not doing that. But now she wants you to go down on her. And so this is how this plays out. When you get a woman who don't want to touch you there or go down there but wants you to do it to her, you don't do it to her. End of story. Matter of fact, it makes a person feel like you don't really like me, do you? Yeah, I love you. I like you. No, I don't get that vibe. I don't get that feeling. Because you seem to be allergic to me. Do you understand what I'm saying? This happens more than you think between couples. It's like two people are married and they don't have sex. And they don't have sex and they don't have sex. You say, why don't they have sex? When you get older as a man, you might end up having problems getting it up. Okay? You may have to go see a doctor. Then again, you may get it up. You may just have to stimulate a little bit before, when you were young, it was already stood up before you ever got your clothes off. And as you get a little older, you're hornier than heck and it ain't standing up. But once you start stimulating, it stands right up, right? This is natural for all men. Okay? But how would you feel like it if the woman wasn't wanting to touch you or stimulate you, but she expects you to go ahead and jack off, masturbate to get it up to put it in her? Nah, I don't think so. If I'm going to masturbate to get it up, then I don't need you here. You can get out of the room now. Okay, now, see, I'm talking some stuff you've never heard me talk about before. But I figured I should come in here and I should throw this shit in the opening and put it in your face. The reality is a successful relationship is from what I told you. If you do it any other way, you're doomed for failure. The relationship will fall apart because one or the other is not respecting the other's feelings and wants. One or the other don't care about the other's feelings and only wants their own wants. That's a doomed relationship that ain't gonna last. Okay, no lie. And pornography has also destroyed lots of relationships, and it can also destroy the marriage you're in. It's been used as a tool, a weapon against all of us, whether you believe it or not. So, I guess, TFLers, I mean, they're lucky in a lot of ways because they don't have to live through all the drama because drama is new love in today's society, right, guys? Isn't that the new love? Our ability to dump on somebody else behavior problems. Isn't that the real new love in today's society? People don't want to monitor their own behavior. People don't want to back up and recognize right from wrong. People don't want to take the personal responsibility of checking their own selves. And if you got high ego, you're corrupt already because ego corrupts the human mind just like power and greed. You wind up screwing your own selves over and you don't even know you are. And Jay Skillful says, as I see, I think there should be women who don't care or want to live traditionally. Well, guess what? We already have a lot of women who don't care and don't want to live. You know who they care about? Themselves. We also have a lot of men who only care about themselves. Did you realize this is the behavior that's caused the breakdown of society? And did you realize the only way we can change that is on an individual basis? And then the men, since the men are the ones getting the shaft, since the men are the ones thrown under the bus and 365 days a year being slammed by your media, being thrown under the bus by other men, being thrown under the bus by women, being denied by women, being treated lower than a piece of dirt on the ground. The majority of divorces are instigated by the female, not the male. This is all factual truth that you all know is true. Men going their own way was the best thing because that's what you're really going to have to do to wake women up. But then if you can wake women up, we all got to examine our own behaviors because we can't fix what's going down in society if men and women alike can't back up and examine their own behaviors. If you're not willing to recognize right from wrong and correct your own behaviors on an individual basis, you can't change nothing. And if men don't start standing together and fighting back against the corruption, you're going to lose anyhow. And for men who already say we've already lost the war against women, you've already lost it because you've set your mind that you lost it. You lost because you told yourself you lost. Men who don't tell themselves I've lost it will fight back. Men who sit there and say we've already lost it have already given up. That's all that is. You've already given up the fight. And I don't like being that way, but I'm telling you the truth. The manosphere needs to come together. And I'll say it 1,000 times. Men need to come together. Okay, we're not always going to agree, but it's not a reason to be angry at each other. It's not a reason to attack each other. You have to learn how to agree to disagree. You have to learn how to allow another person to be themselves, even if you don't like how they feel. So what? They may not like how you feel about something. So you have to agree to disagree and focus on the problems at hand and work together on the same problems at hand. It's not about dictating each other, man. We're all individual human beings with thoughts, feelings, emotions, wants, and needs. We're not all the same, man. You don't need to be thinking with that all hive mind in the jar. And you don't need to try to tell somebody else you have to think like you because they're wrong. Because the minute you do that, you're the one in the wrong. You don't want somebody else telling you what to do. You have no right telling them what to do. Unless they're harming other people. But if they're bringing no harm to other people, then you need to back yourself off. You have no right telling them. You know, and the only way you're ever going to get true love in society is when people start treating each other right. And people ain't going to treat each other right until they start backing up and thinking about what they're doing. And that's the reason I tell you there's no such thing as who wears the pants in the house. Because that's merely calling the other person a slave. That's merely expecting them to submit. If you're talking about only sex only and you want to go live this sex lifestyle that's only about sex, then you can do as you want. You can be your submissive, you can be your dom if that's what you are. But in a relationship between men and women, in a common relationship, a switch style relationship, which is what our whole world's based on, okay, then you have to recognize right from wrong and you have to recognize how to treat each other. Because it's important to treat each other right. It's important to understand that no, she should not submit to you, but nor should you submit to her. Because it's not about who's the ruler, who's the boss. It's about, what kind of friends do you have? How many friends do you got in your life? And I'm not talking about being gay. Don't you understand between a male and a female, you have a sexual dynamic there of an attraction. Between a man and a man, if you're not gay, you can have best friends. But don't you understand that best friendship you have with that man, even when you're not gay, if something happens to that man that's your best friend, you become hurt emotionally wise, it upsets you. That's your friend. That's a normal human motion, a normal reaction that's supposed to happen. Between the woman and man, if you want real love, you have to become friends. The friend zone should never exist. We broke down relationships so bad, people don't even know how to have them. And that's why I'm saying what I'm saying, because it's not about hurting anybody. It's about getting people to understand where I'm coming from and why I'm saying what I'm saying. You know, and that's the only reason I'm saying what I'm saying. And that's right. It's 50-50. It takes as much work from the woman as it does the man. And that really comes down to understanding each other, respecting each other's feelings, not trying to change somebody into your want. They're not no modes. You either love them for who they are or get out. And it really doesn't. You have to care about each other's feelings, and you have to care about each other's traumas or problems that happen with each other. But in today's society, women don't care about the man at all. They want men to care about them, care about me, care all about my trouble, but I don't want to hear anything about your trouble. You see how screwed up that is? That woman don't care about your problems in life, then you shouldn't care about her problems in life, because she can let the door hit her in the ass on the way out. Because she don't know what she's doing. And that's really where that comes from. She has the first clue of what she's doing. So, you know, it's one of them things. But I do believe I've been up here long enough, guys. But I did talk about what I've never talked about before. I don't encourage you to go live this lifestyle. Of course, I'm not going to tell you you can't, and I'm not going to attack you if you do, because it's your choice. But this lifestyle does exist. And there are pockets and communities all over the world who actually live it. Okay? But I don't agree living it if you got children. If you got a child and you were living it, you used to be living it. You ain't living it no more. If you got a child, you best knock that shit off right now. That's the way I feel about that. Okay? Because you don't need that kind of lifestyle around children. If you're going to live that lifestyle, then you don't need children, or maybe it's after your children are growing up and gone, and it's still on an individual basis. And I don't encourage anybody to do it, because it can lead to more breakup of the family unit. It can, you know, it'll also destroy relationships, because what is it focused on? It's focused on what? Sex. And that's really what it's focused on, isn't it? Yeah. And we all know what that already does. It destroys. You know, two people can love each other, and don't matter what trials, trials, or ups and downs they have in their life, they'll stick by each other. They could be flat, broken, homeless, and they still won't separate from each other. Why? Because they really love each other. And she'll look out for you. I mean, she will really look out for you. She will care about your feelings. And you will really look out for her, and you will care about her feelings. Okay? This does exist. But it's like finding a dinosaur egg, because nobody knows what they're doing. Everybody's dumping on one another. And the women do got the upper hand, because society has engineered this. It's not an accident. TFL is 100% real. Men going their own way is the way that needs to happen. And rising up and fighting back is what has to happen if we're ever going to stop this. And then if we can overturn it, then if you ever want a relationship that's going to last, then you better start understanding the stuff I'm telling you. Because it's the stuff that I'm telling you that'll get you into a lifetime relationship, make you happy with somebody, and give you that love that you're looking for. But until both parties do it, it ain't going to happen. And right now, forget it. That's in the future because you don't know what you're doing. This is the most people. And I don't like to cut you down, but it's the facts. Women wouldn't be doing what they're doing if we hadn't socially engineered it and become simps and white knights and enablers of the problem. Not holding women accountable was the biggest mistake man made, you know. And then, of course, oversexualizing our society, and calling her hyperkiness or whatever. And she jumps from guy to guy to guy. Well, that's because she has the options to. It's not because it's in her nature. That BS to say it's in her nature is complete BS. That's all programming. It's all social engineering. Okay? That's all it is. It's not in her nature. It's been programmed into her like a damn computer. Getting that through people's heads, though, is like moving a brick wall on my way with my bare hands or picking up my half-ton or a quarter, three-quarter ton pickup out there and throwing it across the yard by myself. Yeah, right. But anyhow, guys, I think I'm going to get out of here. But I appreciate it. Not trying to cause controversy with what I told you today, but really give us some serious thought. Nobody belongs being anybody's boss. I don't care what your gender is. It doesn't give you a right to rule or dictate over the top of somebody else. And that's the problem we have with women, ain't it? They're wanting to call themselves stepping into a man's role and dictate everything you can do. But see, it was wrong when men did it to women, and it's wrong when women do it to men. It's wrong, period. We're all human beings. If you ever want a successful relationship, you better start looking at her as a human being. And she better start looking at you as a human being. And you better learn how to become friends, and you better learn how to compromise, and you better learn how to respect each other's feelings and care about each other equally. And if you can't learn how to do them things, then don't plan a successful relationship, because it will be doomed for destruction because you've already set yourself for destruction. It's like these guys that tell you the men have already lost, the women have already won. That's because the men who tell you this have already gave up. That's right. They've already gave up. And if men ain't going to come together and rise up and start fighting back, well, then you've lost because you're dumb. Because right now, I don't see any winner on either side. I see the destruction of your society. That's what I see. I see men and women both that are completely out of their damn minds and don't even know what they're doing. And the only way you're going to back the women up, since they've been put on a pedestal their whole life, and the criminals who've done this to us are freaking supporting it and keeping them on that pedestal. And the women don't want to. I mean, when you see there's still good women out there, which there is, but by default, these good women ain't calling out the women who are corrupt. And if these good women out here ain't going to call out their own gender, then they're enablers of the problem, and then they should be walked away from as well. I don't care how good of a woman she is. If you're not going to call out this problem and side with what's right, then you're enabling the problem to continue. So yeah, men walking away from women is the best answer. But it needs to happen in massive numbers. Women need to have no choice at all. When you take that away from them, then they will rethink what they're acting like. But anyhow, I'm going to get out of here. You all have a good one.